Are you learning all about HTML as a beginner and want to know what Semantic HTML is and how to use it in a real project? If so, you're in the right place. Hi, Martin here from MDP Web Development. Today we'll be working on a project that we'll use as a reference project throughout the Web Development for Beginners playlist. Don't forget to check out the playlist from the start to get a better understanding of HTML and our reference project. It's updated each week with new videos. Be sure to stick around to the end to see how to get the project files on Git Hub to use throughout this playlist. I'll link to important videos there also. There's a link in the description down below to the GitHub repository where all the source code is. Let's get started.
Before we go on, be sure to watch the Visual Studio Code Editor video. It explains how to get and set up VS Code for use in the Web Development for Beginners playlist. And also watch the video on creating your first web page. I'll link to them in the description below. Here's a summary to get you started. First, create a folder on your desktop and call it Reference Project. Next, download and install Visual Studio Code Editor for your operating system from the link in the description. Open VS Code, then open this folder and create a new file called index.html. In the file content, type an exclamation mark and hit enter. This should create a new standard document for you. Open the file from the desktop folder and it should be a blank page as we have not put any content in it yet. If you get stuck, just watch these videos first.
So our website is just a bunch of elements at the moment. If this site were published to the internet, it would have a difficult time understanding what the site is all about. So this is where Semantic HTML comes in. It gives simple, easy way to organize HTML documents and adds meaning to our documents so that the internet can understand what it's all about. Semantic HTML elements must describe the content that's in them. They must give meaning to the HTML document. It also helps the internet to understand page structure. And semantic elements describe the type of content that they hold. We can see here on the left that our website has many different elements at the minute. We have an image, anchor tags, H2s, more images, and comments, and even ordered lists. If Google was to see this, it'd read the document and think, well, where is the header, where is the footer, where is the main section, where's the main content? Is there any articles or sides or anything? And it would just see one long part of text. We can see here on the right a semantic element, the header, nav, section, article, aside, and footer. The document on the right is well structured. The document on the left is not semantically structured. For example, if we look at the header, we can see here on the right, we have the header with the header element, then we have the nav element, then the UL element, and the anchor element. As soon as Google reads this, it'll find the header, then it'll see inside that, okay, this is the navigation. In other words, this document will be semantically structured. There are many elements that we can use for semantic HTML to make our document more understandable on the internet. Some of the main ones we'll use are headers. They contain headings, logos, information, and banner. Nav. This element contains the main site navigation links and not other accessory links. The main element. This is where the main content of the page will be found. When Google sees this, it sees the main content. Sections. These can be like chapters in a new book or news items, usually with its own heading or footer. Articles. As you'd expect, like blog posts, user comments, things that make sense on their own. Asides is another one, indirectly related to its surrounding content. And footers. They hold the likes of copyright information, contact, and other links. And when none of the above suits what we want to do for development, we can use a div element. This allows us to create custom programming. Hi, before we move on, please don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe so you don't miss out on any upcoming videos. Thank you.
So now we're going to open Visual Studio Code and our project and a browser window on the right to preview our project. It's going to go to our desktop and double click on Visual Studio Code. Then we're going to go to the Explorer view and open folder. And mine is on the desktop, so I'm going to go Desktop, Reference Project, select Folder. And here we can see we have our HTML file. If we open the browser view, we can see the reference project folder and the index.html file we created. Now to see the browser window on the right, if you have the live server extension installed, you'll see Go Live button down here on the bottom. And if you haven't, you just have to go out to your desktop, open the folder, and click on the index.html file. So once you've clicked on that file, we're just going to click this Go Live button here. And that'll start up a new browser server window for us. So a handy shortcut for Windows to put something on the left and right is to press the Windows key and then right or left arrow and release the Windows key. Then select the one you want on the left or right. So I'll close this panel. So another handy shortcut for Windows is the zoom key. If you press CTRL, then the plus to zoom in and negative to zoom out. So we can see here we have our Windows browser on the right. So the only difference if we had to open this manually on the desktop and click on the file is if we make changes on the left in our code editor, you would have to click refresh on the right to see it.
So here we are. We can see our reference project on the left, and on the right we have it open in a server, the index.html page. We have it open on the right hand side just to see if we make any mistakes in the website, and we'll see it there straight away if something goes wrong. So we'll start here by CTRL plus to zoom in. We'll go to our body. So the first thing we'll create at the top of our document is a header. So in the header, we should probably put this image and then the navigation links. We can see here we have a H1. That would be on the main page, so we won't put that in the header for now. So in our header, we'll put the image and nav links. So we're going to go underneath the body tag, and you start typing header, then vscode will autocomplete it. Hit enter. Then we have our header, and if you hit enter again, it goes down below. So let's move this image and all these links into the header. CTRL and X for cut on Windows, and CTRL and V for paste. Now we can see our site here is okay, still working. Now these links, the nav links, we can see here we have the nav element, so we should probably put these links, because they're navigation links, into the nav element. So let's create the nav element. If you go nav, vscode will autocomplete. Now for these links in the nav element, normally they're put into an unordered list, UL, and then CSS will tidy it up, instead of just having the links straight inside the nav tag. So we'll create an unordered list to hold each of these links we can see here on the bottom. Each list item will be a link. So for an ordered list, we're going to go OL, then hit enter, and we can see VS Code autocompleted the rest. Enter again. Now for list item, we'll create one list item for each link. So we go LI for list item and enter. So now let's put this first link, CTRL X to cut, and CTRL V to paste. And there we have it. We can see here on the right, we have a list item. This is an ordered list. It
doesn't really matter at the minute. We'll change this to an unordered list, UL. So if you like, you can edit the tag just there, then go down to the closing tag, UL. And CTRL and S for save. And if you don't see any changes on the right hand side, just click refresh on your browser on the right. So we can see here now, we have the home link and it has a dot beside it. That just means it's one of the list items we've seen earlier. We can see list items down here with dots beside them. Now let's move on to the next link, which is the HTML reference link. So we're going to insert another list item, li, and we're going to cut and paste our reference link inside it. CTRL X, then CTRL and V, and so on. So now let's create another list item, li for list item. And we're going to cut the link out and put it into the list item. We can see on the right, our links are coming out as list items, a list, an unordered list with just bullet points. So again, we'll go li for list item. And now we'll cut and paste the next list item link. Cut and paste. And again, for the final one, li for list item. And we'll cut this link and paste it into a list item. And we'll just remove this comment from here. And CTRL and S, or file and save. And refresh on the right hand side. And now we can see all our links are in an unordered list. Home, HTML reference, CSS reference, JavaScript reference, and examples. So we'll just tidy this up a bit for structure. Now we can see here now, we have our header element. And if you hover over the line number in VS Code, you'll see a down arrow. This means you can collapse whatever is right across from it. So if we collapse this header element, there's our header. And click again to expand it. So we can see our header element. Inside that we have an image. And then inside that we have the nav element, which contains our unordered list of all our links. Now, let's move on to the next part. We can see here we have a H1, which is the main site, heading 1, and a paragraph, and also a Git Hub link. And here we have a H2, which is like an internal chapter, HTML reference. So looking at this, we can see we should probably put our main sections, HTML reference, CSS reference, and JavaScript reference, into sections. So we're going to go down here to the HTML reference. So we'll start by putting this HTML reference, H2, the image, and the paragraph, and the unordered list, the ordered list, into the section element. So we type section and hit enter. And here's our section element. Now let's move this content, the H2, the image, the paragraph, and the ordered list of links, CTRL and X to cut, and let's paste them into our section. And when we hit save, it'll auto format. Now, as we mentioned earlier, in sections, it's a good idea to have the section header. So we can see here, this section is actually called HTML reference and there's a H2 on it. So this will be the header. So we can create a main header for this section. And we can see that the image is also probably a good candidate to put into the header for this section. So we'll go into the section and type header. And inside that then, we'll cut and paste the H2 and the image into the header of the section. Now we can see we have a section. Google will see that. Inside the section, it'll see the header of the section. So Google will say, well, this is obviously the header of this section. And it'll see the H2. It'll know it's about HTML reference and also an image. We can see then this paragraph is just inside the section because it explains what the section is about. And we can see we have the ordered list here of links inside the section. Sometimes if you have lots of information in a section, you can also put a footer. But for now, we leave it like that. Okay, so next, we're going to do the same to the CSS section. Why not pause the video here and try the CSS section yourself? Okay, welcome back. I hope it turned out okay. So now I'm going to go ahead and just create a section for the CSS area. So again, I'll type in section. And I know I also need a header, so I'm going to type in a header element. Now, so into the header, like the last one, we're going to put the H2, which describes what this section is about, and the image, because the image is also related. Now we can see now we have the section and the header with the H2 that describes it and also the image to show what the section is about. So now let's put in the rest of the content, which is this paragraph and the unordered list of links we created earlier. CTRL and X to cut, CTRL V to paste, then file save to format it. And again, we can see here, Google will come in, it'll see this is a section, this is important, like a chapter. It'll see the header, it'll get the H2, this is CSS reference, and the image also. And we can see here the main paragraph for describing the section and the unordered list of links we created earlier. So now let's do the same for the JavaScript section. We'll create a section again. Inside the section, I'll put the header element. Now, I'll cut and paste the H2 and the image into the header part of the section. And now I'll just cut and paste the paragraph and the unordered list with the one link into underneath the header section. So now when we have a look, we can see here we have the section. Inside the section we have a header. And again, inside that header, Google will see this is obviously the JavaScript chapter, H2, and as an image. Now for this last one here, we can see this is general text about the website. And it's at the bottom, so this is generally put into a footer. So if you just type the footer element, and we can cut this and paste it into the footer element. So now we have the footer and all the sections created. Now where would we put our main semantic element, which signifies the main content? Let's have a look. We have the body, we have the main header, we have this introduction paragraph, then all these sections that are in our website, and the footer. So the main content wouldn't be the header, that's standalone. This would be the main content here. We can see it describes the entire page. And of course all the sections are related to the page also. But the footer wouldn't be in the main content. That's not the main content people want to see. So everything apart from the header and footer will be in the main element. So let's go ahead and put everything into the main element, apart from the header and footer. So underneath the header, we're going to go main. Now we're going to cut and paste everything into the main element. We'll select everything apart from the footer. I'm getting dizzy looking at it, going up and down. So CTRL and X to cut everything out and place it all inside the main element. And save, CTRL and S or file, save. Now let's have a look here on the left. We can see the body, and if we hover over the down arrow, we can collapse it, everything inside the body. We can see the header, we can collapse that. We have the main section, we can collapse that. And the footer section, we can collapse that. So let's just expand them all again to have a look. Now we also have to do this now on our examples page, just to have it all symmetrical. So we can see on our examples page, we just have the body and the links on top, the nav links on top. We don't have any content in the examples page at the minute. So all we need really is just these links to be put into a header and a nav element. So let's just copy that from what we've done already on the main index page. So I'm going to copy the entire header. I'm going to go to the examples page and replace this in the body and save. Now let's have a look. Again, if you don't see your changes on the right hand side, just refresh in your browser. And CTRL and minus to zoom out. Let's just go to the examples page. And here we are. We can see we still have our list, unordered list of links on the examples page. Now a way to check the HTML that we've created to validate that it's okay and going to work right and won't cause any issues is to use a W3C validation. So let's do that. So that's one of our handy links in this web development reference project. So we go have a look at our project. We can see here in the HTML section, we have W3C HTML validator. So let's go ahead and click on that. If you don't have that link, just go into Google and look for W3C HTML validator. And here we are. So you can see here you can validate by URI if you have a web address, validate by file upload for a very large file, or validate by direct input, which just copy and paste your code into. So let's just do that. So we're going to go back to our index page. We're going to CTRL and A and CTRL and C for copy all, and we're going to paste it into our HTML validator. We're just going to have a look at these options. We can see here, validate the output. Let's click check and see what comes back. Document checking completed, no errors or warnings. You can see here all the sections that Google found, that the validator found. So let's just have a look at some of these options up here. We can see here we have the outline. This will create an outline of the document. This will tell us if the document is actually semantically created. And it's no harm to have an image report as well, to check that we have alt tags on our images. And let's just click check again. Now this time when we scroll down, we can see the image report. And we can see here that there is alternative text to each image. And the validator will always just ask you to confirm it's okay. Looks okay. And we can see here the structure we found already, and we created a header, nav, main section, and we have sections here with headers for HTML, CSS and JavaScript. And down on the bottom here, the outline of the document is checked and validated. So we can see here it found the H1, which describes our project, then the relevant chapters which we have in our sections, HTML reference, CSS reference and JavaScript reference. So to get the files used in this example, the HTML reference project, just go to the Git Hub link that's down in the description of this video. You can have a look at it here. So a GitHub repository is just a location on the internet hosted by a company called Git that most developers like to share or store their code in, either for their own use or to share with other developers. The repository on GitHub is just a folder used to store code or files, etc. Let's have a look at each folder. So when we're in the repository here, you can see the name of the repository there, actions along the top. You can see the main folder here, and there's a README file too. So if you want, you can just click onto the folders and see what's inside them and download the code from there. But to get all the code, you're going to go over here to the code button. We're going to click and download zip file. Once that's downloaded, go into your downloads folder. Then we need to extract it. So we're going to Windows, you're going to right click and extract all. Now let's just have a look at these files in VS Code. So we're going to go to our desktop. We're going to open up Visual Studio Code. And now we're going to open the folder that we just extracted. Open folder on the left. And we're going to go to Downloads. And here we are. And you can see here on the Explorer view on the left, there's the folder we can click to expand. And here's the reference project folder. And here's the HTML file, so we click on that, and there's the code. You can use this for reference or to rebuild your project if something goes wrong.
Hi, I hope you found this video helpful. If so, please like, share, comment and subscribe so you don't miss out on any upcoming videos in the Web Development for Beginners playlist. See you next time.